Mr. Chairman, while I agree that the threats to this nation are concerning and worthy of examination, I also believe that as the authorizing committee of the Department of Homeland Security, it is our responsibility to hear from the Secretary about the overall management of DHS. This bipartisan committee, the Government Accountability Office, and the Inspector General have all identified challenges within the department. Additionally, there are components within the department that have proposed restructuring. While the Secretary's Unity of Effort initiative has made strides since the beginning of the Congress, but the Federal Employee Viewpoint Survey still indicates that DHS has a long way to go in improving workforce morale. Also, two DHS components with a zero-fail mission, the Transportation Security Administration and the Secret Service, are ongoing, much-needed reform. Furthermore, the Department's cyber mission is critical as we look to prevent crippling attacks from cyber terrorists. While we've heard from several DHS officials this Congress, we have yet to hear from the head of the agency on the record about how he's fulfilling his vision for the department and what he needs from Congress. Today's hearing and the topic and testimony does not provide for a hearing from the Secretary on the topics I've mentioned. Therefore, I'm asking you, Mr. Chairman, for a commitment at some point to hold a hearing on the oversight of the Department of Homeland Security and invite Secretary Johnson to testify before the end of the first session of Congress. I know the success of the department is a shared concern. Each member of this committee should have the opportunity to question the Secretary in an open setting and to continue to hold him accountable. Today's hearing on the worldwide threats gives the committee the opportunity to hear the perspective of top government officials on the wide-ranging threats of terrorism from both international groups and domestic terrorists. Through its oversight, this committee has given attention to the threat from international terror organizations, including Al-Qaeda and the Arabian Peninsula, and the threat from Islamic State of Iraq and Lebanon. The committee's bipartisan task force looked at the threat from foreign fighters, and one of their glaring yet unsurprising findings is that there are still intelligence and information sharing gaps that need to be addressed. These gaps also enter the conversation as we continue our efforts to address our humanitarian response to the refugee crisis in Syria. I want to hear from each witness about their agency's intelligence capability and how they are working together as we prepare to assist in this humanitarian crisis. As members of Congress, we have the responsibility to convey accurate information to our constituents and to the media. As we rightfully continue to address the threats from international terrorist organizations, I want to reemphasize that we should not lose sight of the threats posed by terrorists that are right here in America, as they are those that have no plans on traveling overseas to receive training from any international group. Through social media networks, ISIL has encouraged lone offenders to perpetrate violence right here on our soil. This approach is not novel. Right-wing domestic terrorist groups also use social media to recruit and communicate. Again, Mr. Chairman, violent extremists use no single ideology or recruitment tactic. Even though some federal officials have been dismissive of domestic terrorism and others generate false intelligence to the contrary, the facts are clear. Since September 11, more people in the United States have died in attacks by domestic extremists than attacks by international terrorist groups. Mr. Chairman, we often discuss what the 9/11 commissioners call a failure of imagination. As we use today to discuss the threats to our country, let us not fail to imagine the devastation that can be caused by the extremists both abroad and in our backyards. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.